My name is Hannah, and this is my beauty budget. Good morning, everyone. I don't know if it's morning for you where you are when you are watching this, but here as I'm filming this, it's Friday morning. If everything goes as planned, if we're having a normal work week, which we are this week, Friday is the day that we photograph all of the pieces of clothing that I made that week for my small business, the small business that I run with my partner, Joe. I think almost all of you know this by now, but in case you're new, I own a small clothing business. It's handmade clothing for women who dance Argentine tango. So it's basically an artisan business. I make the pieces one by one by hand. They're pretty much all unique. And then on every Friday, I model all of the clothes, and then we post those clothes for sale the following Thursday and people buy them, and that's how Joe and I make our living. So my makeup for these shoots has to be pretty dramatic in terms of contrast. It has to highlight my eyes pretty strongly. It has to be more full coverage than what I usually wear because I want my skin tone to look pretty even under all of those studio lights, and it's just different. So that's it. This is the look, and the forthcoming video consists of me applying this makeup look. So let's go ahead and get into the meat of that video. I feel like I look like a weird baby bird in the monitor. It's probably because I dyed my eyebrows last night. And always the first morning after dyeing, they're quite dark and I'm quite pale. And I look like a representative of the animal kingdom, the grub kingdom. So I just took a quick shower and rinsed off my face. I don't wash my face in the mornings. I just rinse off all of the skincare that I slept in overnight. And then I put the Timeless Vitamin C Serum on. That's all that I have on my face right now. When I put makeup on for these photo shoots, I don't use sunscreen. It's the only morning of the week that I don't put on sunscreen because I'm just going to go over to the studio, do the shoot, and then I'll come home and wash my makeup off and put on a much simpler and easier look for the rest of the day. I don't usually go about the rest of my day in the full face that I put on for the photo shoots. And I just don't want to risk anything in the sunscreen reacting with the camera lights in our studio or anything like that. So I have on my vitamin C serum, which is a good protector for the skin. And I'm just going to put an oil on to let my skin kind of get nice and primed for primer while I'm doing my eyes. Even though it's pretty thick and hearty, I'm going to go in with this Tamanu oil from Erin's Faces. Erin just sent this to me this week and I'm already incredibly impressed by it. Can you see how green it is? So I'm just using 4 drops because it's such a lovely beefy oil. It's a nut oil and its claims remind me a lot of marula oil. It is naturally antimicrobial and it really helps with healing. But my impression so far of this oil is that it's actually much more of a healing powerhouse than marula oil. It's amazing for a skin that is troubled in any way. And I'm totally in love with it already. I'm really, really impressed by everything I've tried from Erin's Faces. In fact, I'm hoping to wear the lipstick that she sent me in today's look. All right, I'm gonna prime my eyes. And then in my continuing attempt to try out all of the makeup that was given to me by my friend Lauren from the channel Lauren May Beauty, I'm going in today with another one of the eyeshadow palettes she gave me, which is from Morphe. It's the Brunch, the Brunch palette, Brunch Babe. It's the Brunch Babe palette. And this is the first time I've seen Morphe's new packaging, and it's really impressive and high-end feeling. I'm such a sucker for heavy, clicky, clean packaging, and I'm like, Morphe, you filled out nicely over the summer. So I'm gonna go in with what is, for me, the lid setting shade in this. Usually when I'm doing a full glam look or a full face, I go in with the traditional lid setting shade and then blending the colors down rather than kind of packing in with my fingers all over the lid and blending everything up and out like I do when I'm doing more kind of casual, smudgy, smeary editorial looks for day. Now I'm going to go in with this kind of grayish taupe down in the corner. It's called Tots. All right, that blended pretty well. It took a lot of blending, but it blended out pretty well. I think I'm gonna deepen it up with this dark brown Patio. Blendy, blendy, blendy the house down boots. I'm basically Jaclyn Hill. This is a pretty neutral palette. I mean, it looks like it has pinks, but they're all light pinks, and none of them is really the shiny shade I want for my lid. So I'm gonna use my fingers to put Waffles, which is like a shimmery dark brown, on the outer half of my lid, and Bottomless Mimosas on the inner half of my lid, and blend them together. For all of you who have missed hearing Joe do the dishes, he's back in full force in this video. So Bottomless Mimosas, which is this kind of shimmery champagne gold color, gave me a little bit of trouble. It's so oily and creamy that it was a little bit hard to get it to transfer onto my lid, even with my finger. And I think it's like that classic problem of some Morphe shadows, even some of the ones in the Jaclyn Hill palette. It has all of the qualities that make a shimmer shadow swatch incredibly beautifully, and then that doesn't always translate to usefulness. I'm gonna go in with a bunch of the same eyeshadows on my lower lash line and just get it evened out, and then I'm gonna go in with Black Coffee, this matte black, in the outer corner and just make this look more dramatic. I've waited until now to go in with liner because my eyes are feeling really sensitive today. Yesterday I put kind of some harsh, gritty eyeshadow all over them, and they watered and they got raw, and they're just not in a happy state. And I really, really don't want them to start watering relentlessly and ruin this look, because I have to do the shoot today and I have to look the part. So I've been waiting and kind of going in delicately with a shadow and letting them breathe in between. And now I'm just going to gently go in with a little bit of black liner on my lower lash line and on my tight line and hope that it goes all right. Okay, so that seems to have gone all right. I do have the teeniest bit of a tear dribbling out of the corner of each eye, just the teeniest bit. It doesn't seem like it's become chronic. And so the blend on the very outer corner isn't amazing, but with a full face on and with a lot of mascara on over top of this, I think it'll be sufficient for the purposes of today, of the photo shoot, etc. I think I am going to throw a little bit of glitter over top of Bottomless Mimosas. This color, it's become kind of scaly, that like lizard skin metallized look on the inner portion of the eye. Because it's so oily, it causes it to reflect unevenly, if that makes sense. So it's kind of like it's shinier on some places where it has gripped the skin, and it just doesn't look very clean and dramatic and graphic because it's so uneven. So I actually think I might pull out the big guns. I think I'm gonna go in with my little decanted pot of Lemonhead LA glitter that Wendy decanted for me from hers. I'm just gonna tap some of the glitters over top of the parts of my eye where I've put that lighter colored shadow. I'm gonna try not to bring it too far out onto the eye. I'm going to try to just use it as an accent and not get carried away. I think I kind of only got semi carried away. It's more than an accent, but it could have been more. It could have been worse. It could have been more dramatic. And I'm just gonna let my eyes be for a little bit. I'm not gonna go in with mascara just yet. I find that this glitter gel is one of the most tear-proof or watery eye proof products that I own. So on days when I need to put together a bulletproof look for the shoot, but I'm a little bit worried about my eyes watering, I frequently go in with this. The Stila glitters also work for the same purpose. All right, I can definitely still feel some tackiness from that oil, some protection, but it's not oily, and it's definitely not going to upset the layers of makeup and skincare that I put on top of it. So I'm gonna go in with this same primer that I used the other day when I was testing out new makeup, and it's the Clarins SOS Primer. I've been loving it ever more. The more that I use it, I'm more and more impressed by it. I like the particular healthy, natural, subtle but workable glow that this product gives. And one of you said in the other video in which I used this, I just dropped it on the floor. One of you said that Clarins also makes a green primer in this line, and that's your holy grail primer, and I'm so intrigued by that because I love this one and green primers are my favorite. My foundation world has been rocked a little bit lately. I have formerly felt like there's no such thing as a skin-like foundation. I've never come across one, and granted, I haven't tried that many foundations because I'm never on the hunt for a foundation to wear in my daily life. I'm always just looking for something to use in the photo shoots, and when I find something, then I use it for a couple of years, and then when the bottle runs out, because I'm only using it once a week, you know, it lasts for years, and then when the bottle runs out, I have something, cat hair or something. And then when the bottle runs out, I either buy it again or buy something new. That's what I've been doing. And I've always used foundations that worked perfectly well and looked good in the pictures, but just looked horrible in real life. Like really dry, because I have quite dry skin, and I've always felt like any foundation I put on my skin is gonna pick up on all of the dry patches. So I have been using the NARS Sheer Glow in Siberia. I think that's what this is called. This is almost done, and I think I might declare this an empty pretty soon because I can barely get anything out of it with the pump, and I'm not really in the mood to like open it and scrape it out, especially because whatever passion I ever had for this has completely waned over the years because I'm aware that half an hour after I put it on, my skin's gonna look good in photos but terrible in real life, and I just don't like that. I don't like feeling it on my skin. And I've been alternating that with these foundations from The Ordinary, which I purchased when they launched because I was so curious. I've got both the serum and the full coverage one in 1.0 neutral, and the full coverage one in 1.0 neutral silver, which is the one that's supposed to have kind of a glow. I find it gives me a little bit of a gray cast in the photos, and these similarly are just not impressive on the skin, don't particularly last that long. The finish of all of these are the only 4 foundations that I've kind of ever had. The finish is unimpressive, and I've always just considered myself to be someone who can't stand the look of foundation on my skin. I've gotten samples from time to time, like I got a sample of the Dior Backstage Face and Body foundation, I got a sample once of Giorgio Armani Luminous Silk, and I've had the same experience with all of them. However, recently, this little thing entered my life. This is a little sample of the Bare Minerals Complexion Rescue foundation stick, the one that just came out. And I know Emily Noel has been raving about it. And I ordered this as a sample when I placed the Sephora order that I recently placed for my concealer. I love it. It's a skin-like foundation. It's undetectable on my skin, but it really helps to cover the unevenness. It looks gorgeous in the photos, and then it continues to look gorgeous on my skin. Its one flaw is that it's a tiny bit cool toned for me. I'm quite yellow. The lightest one they make, which is Opal, this one is just a slightly more pink than I am or than I want. But I find that if I apply it in tandem with my green color corrector, it helps to balance out the pink in this, and I end up with the perfect shade. So that's what I'm going to go ahead and do right now. I'm going to apply this full face of foundation using this little foundation stick, this color corrector, and blending with this little Kogendo brush. Now you may have noticed that I kept that more to the perimeter of my face, these areas, which I don't actually usually even cover that much, because even though I have some faint scarring and sometimes some little blemish dots there, I just don't feel like it's the part of my face that gets a lot of attention when I'm talking to people. It's not the part of my face people see. I tend to focus on brightening the inner portion of my face and evening out my skin tone there, and then I kind of let it fade away into no makeup land. With this product, however, because it's a photo shoot and you're seeing the sides of my face a lot, and I really want to make Joe's work easier. He's the one who comes in post-production and cleans up the photos. So I'm trying to cover as much of my face as I can, but I'm aware that I'm going to be putting concealer in these areas, on here, 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 and here. So why would I kind of fully thickly cover that in foundation only then to go in with concealer on top of that? I really just need one layer of product. So I've mostly used this to deal with the perimeter of my face, and now I'm going to go in with the Makeup Forever Ultra HD concealer in the color Pearl. And I think I'm gonna blend that with this little Sephora brush. It's the VIB Rouge Reward from last year, the Pro Mini Flawless Airbrush. Even for a fuller coverage look for me, a little goes such a long way with this that I'm not using a ton. Like this is already gonna be a lot. So my skin tone's looking pretty good for the shoot. I am going to go in and just try to conceal a couple of areas of unevenness that are peeking through using my NARS Soft Matte Complete Concealer in the color Chantilly. That's not ordinarily something I would do, especially not with this foundation product on my face. But again, I'm trying to get as flawless, as literally flawless a base as I can for the pictures. I also forgot to say about this product that I love how it wears. I feel like it becomes more melty and dewy and a little bit glossy over the course of the day, but without sliding off or caking up or doing anything weird. I really like how this looks a couple of hours later. And I have even once or twice worn this during the day instead of concealer pretty much. It's like it kind of works both ways. It's like a multi-purpose product. And I notice when I use this product on my skin for a normal work day, towards the end of the day, my skin just looks really healthy and glowy. It's another thing I really like about this. I think that when this little sample size is used up, I might declutter all 4 of those nearly empty bottles of gross foundation that I showed you before and have the business purchase this for me as my foundation for photo shoots going forward, because I would really like to just commit to this. I wish they had it in my shade. I wish I didn't have to mix it with the green color corrector, but it's worth it in spite of that one problem. I am going to have to powder a tiny, tiny bit, which I, again, never do for normal life, in order to blend powder products onto my cheeks. But before we do that, my eyes have calmed down enough that I think I can go in with my Monsieur Big Mascara and glam up those lashes. I feel like I'm going through a very thin lash stage. You know how sometimes, well, I don't know if you know, but for me, sometimes my lashes feel really thick and lush, and sometimes they feel really thin. And I think that it's true. I think it's just like the natural hair growth cycle. It happens with brows too, and even leg hair. I think Julene once told me, she's an esthetician, so she knows these things, that every 3rd time you shave or pluck or wax a hair, it comes back really strong. And then the other 2 times it comes back weaker. I'm probably mixing this up. Julene, maybe you can like leave a comment down below and set us straight about this. But right now I feel like my eyelashes, they're just thin and spidery and kind of lackluster, and sometimes they feel really full and lush. So I'm glad that I have this mascara right now, because it's really helping me to do the most with what little I have going on my lids in terms of lashes. All right, I'm gonna powder just a little bit so that I can get a smooth blend on top of this foundation, and I'm also, you know, I think it would be good to set it, because this is quite an emollient formula, just to make it a little more bulletproof for the shoot, but I'm gonna try not to go overboard because my skin can get real cakey real quick because it's so dry. So Lauren did give me this translucent pressed powder. It's a very light color. It looks like, for me, it will read translucent. And it's by Paul and Joe. It's just a pressed powder. I haven't tried it yet, so I'm gonna delicately go in with this and see if it works. It's not the finest milled or kind of creamiest or smoothest powder I've ever used, but it's definitely serving the purpose. It's not caking up or doing anything weird on my skin. It's very firmly pressed, so it's hard to get too much on the brush, which I appreciate. I think I'm gonna highlight underneath my blush and then maybe a tiny bit on top, but mostly underneath. I want that glow from within. And I'm using this Jessica Liebskind Vintage palette. It's the Illuminating Face Highlighter set in Rose Quartz and Chocolate Diamond. And I'm gonna use this Rose Quartz side. This, again, came from Lauren. I think it was in a BoxyCharm or something. Oh, and you know what I'm gonna use for this? These brushes recently came to me in PR from a brand called Rephr, R-E-P-H-R. And I think that they're kind of in the process of doing some testing, like they're trying to get feedback from the beauty community about whether the brushes are working and what kind of design elements people really like the most. Their website's really interesting. I think you can like order a brush to test, to give feedback on right now. In any case, they sent me their small set of the brushes that they have for sale, I think, right now. And their goat hair, they're very stiff. And that works really well for some types of brush for me. So this one, this tiny little smudger brush for the lower lash line, I'm completely in love with. I absolutely love this brush. For an eyeshadow brush for the lid, that stiffness isn't as ideal for me. And for kind of more of a blush brush, which this one is, it's not quite as ideal. I love a loose, flowy, fluffy brush for the face. But this slightly angled one, which I think I can use as a highlighter brush, it's so much stiffer than my Anastasia highlighting brush, and I think that that might be good for buffing, because I've been really into buffing the highlighter really firmly into the skin. So I think that the stiffness of this, although I wouldn't have been drawn to purchase it myself, might actually be very useful and might enhance my highlighter application. So I'm going to go in with this slightly stiff but very soft and beautifully made Rephr brush. It's the 04. Yeah, the stiffness allows it to pick up so much more product than my other highlighting brush. Yeah, that's very glowy, and the brush is great. It's great for buffing in a highlighter. I'm glad I put it in underneath my blush though, because it does have that slightly gray metallic shift to it that certain highlighters can get on my skin because I'm so fair. So I'm going to warm that glow up with this product that Lauren also gave me. It's the Neo Bronzer from Kevyn Aucoin in Capri. And I did have a mini of this that I gave away to my friend Julia. I thought that she would look better in it than I did and get more use out of it than I did, but I'm kind of giving it a second chance now that I have it again in the full size to try. And I am going to go ahead and go in with this other Rephr brush because I'm testing them out. I was able to get a more delicate blend with this brush than I expected. It actually works amazing. The tip is softer and the stiff bristles didn't actually end up being as intimidating as I thought, although I did get a pretty heavy blush application, which is good for the photo shoots, as shocking as it might look here. Under all of that glaring studio lighting, it just looks like a gentle flush. It's quite pink for me, and that was why I gave it to Julia. But it's interesting with this full size where I can really dip from different areas of it if I want to. I feel like I was able to use the more bronze side to tone down the pink a little bit, and it's just so pretty and glowy. But I am going to take some of that pink up into my eye look to draw it together so it looks less like discrete areas of my face have different kinds of makeup on them. I hope you can see the difference there. This is the side where I've blended the blush into my eye, and this is the side where I haven't. I just think it looks so much more cohesive, and it also kind of looks more lifted, my eye on this side. Well, that was a lot more blush draping than I was expecting to do for this look today. I was kind of hoping it would be a lip statement look, but now that my eyes and cheeks have become so statement, I think I'm gonna have to go for a softer lip than I was planning on. But first I'm gonna do my brows. Little dish of water, spoolie, soap. For my lips, I was originally going to use Erin's Face's satin lipstick in Nancy, this unbelievably gorgeous pumpkin color. The formula is incredible. I'm so impressed by everything that I've had the chance to try from Erin's Faces. I mean, I should have known because the sunscreen's amazing, but I guess I didn't know. I didn't know if it was just that the sunscreen happened to be like the cream of the crop of what Erin makes, or if everything is amazing, and it turns out everything is amazing. The makeup, all of the skincare that I've tried, everything is just amazing. Let me see. Yeah, I think I want something slightly lighter because of this heavy cheek. Okay, so I went in with a pretty light layer of this NYX Suede Matte Lip Liner in the color London, and I think I'm gonna lighten that up with Maybelline Beige Babe. lightened that up ever so slightly in the middle, but I think that that sort of peachy, almost brown color on the lips, it draws out the brown that I started with on the eyes, and it helps to balance out the whole look color-wise, tone-wise. Time for setting spray. Gosh, I still feel like I can see that gray tone from the highlighter peeking through, and I'm glad that I tried it out because that highlighter swatches beautifully, and I was thinking that I was going to love it. Now that I've really taken a look at how it looks on my cheeks and tried it on my cheeks, I'm starting to think that it might not be for me, which is just good. It's good to find out. That's what I'm doing here. A lot of this is just a fact-finding mission, but having just sprayed my face, I think I might hit the tops of my cheekbones with a bright and maybe even slightly iridescent highlighter. I think I'm going to go in with this Cloud 9 highlighter from Ofra and Nikki Tutorials because I know that it has a pink shift and I want to kind of help brighten. So that's giving me more of an iridescent gloss and less of that kind of gray underneath peach look that was on there before. And that is it, you guys. That's the look for the shoot today. I think I'm gonna wear my hair down like this and a little bit wild, so it's going to look like this in the pictures. Thank you so much for watching this traditional yet uber glam get ready with me. I hope that you enjoyed this video, and I hope that you are remembering to take extra good care of yourself right now so that you can be the most effective version of yourself as you do your work in the world.